Great, amazing Friday to you. Rise and shine, up and at 'em. It is Good Friday. We consider every Friday Good Friday. Every day is a great day, especially when we're able to talk it up. We're going to chat and chew today. Hey, you are officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. I'm Collette. I do my curtsy because that's what I do in showing reverence to you because I know, again, let me just flip, got to flip her out the way a little bit. It's sometimes it's a little different being a lady. Can I just can I just share that with you? That might be a little bit too much information, TMI. But, I just figure that it's important because that's who we are to each other. I know you, you know me, and so sometimes it can just be a little much. But I say all that to say, you could be anywhere, doing anything, watching any show, and you have made the conscious decision to tune in to WHPR TV 33 with me at this time so we can have the conversations that what? Are going to educate, enlighten, and empower. That is our ultimate goal. We can always agree to disagree. But do you really notice that we really don't disagree? We're able to pull the conversation kind of full circle to ask us the pertinent questions to get the answers that then we say, there's validity in that. There's validity in what we're able to do in our conversations during these times together. So I thank you for that. Let me give you our call-in numbers this morning. 313-868-0342. 313-868-0351. 313-868-4336. A great, amazing morning to all of you, my parents, as well. And, it's just a new day. A new day filled with infinite possibilities. And I hope that I'm sending that kind of energy to you. That sometimes, you have to know where you are, when you know yourself, how you bring your energy up. And so I'm working to bring my energy up because a lot of times I think, right? I think all the time. And I am working on meditative and prayer to stop my brain. There's a difference, right? The brain and the mind. So stop from thinking because I think all the time. And so in order to rest, then that's what you have to do. So I'm working on that, but not right now. Right now, we're going to continue with the conversation. I have a public service announcement to make, everyone. Listen, today is Fabulous Fish Fry Friday. Did you get that? Can you say that fast 3 times? Fish Fry Friday? Fabulous Fish Fry Friday? Today is Fabulous Fish Fry Friday at the Dabo Sheffield Center, located at 12048, beginning Grand River. That's the corner of Grand River and Wyoming. It's the old bank right on the corner. Beginning at 12 noon, 12 to 6 p.m., there's going to be catfish and, perch. And they're going to have options of sides, salad, no, string beans, coleslaw, and spaghetti, and dessert, and it's for $15. And I'm letting you all know that if you show up today and you ask for me and you mentioned that you saw this on this show, now you have to tell me what I wore because I have to have like a tag. I have to have something everyone just can't pop up and say, hey, I just want to see Collette. If you ask to speak to me, the first 5 meals are on me. Let me just say that. So, again, starts at 12 noon today at 12048 Grand River Avenue. If indeed you show up and you ask to speak to Collette, you ask and you say that you heard about this on Coffee and Conversation with Collette, because I will be there, the first 5 meals are on me. So that is what I'm sharing with you all today. I want you all to be festive. I want us to support each other in our endeavors. And this is something, the Dabo Sheffield Center is very important to me. We have the free Friday movie that is just amazing. And I'm going to announce that. We have Milwaukee. Was it 5236? It's a zip code, but it's a movie. Did you know this zip code in Milwaukee has the highest number of black male incarceration in the nation? This zip code in Milwaukee. And that's what the movie is about. I'm going to give you all the details because that's next Friday. But it's free. It's free. It's dinner and a movie Friday night free starting at 6 p.m. So I'm going to tell you all about that because I want us to engage and I facilitate the conversation afterwards. See? So it's like having more coffee and conversation, right? So those are our announcements today. I want to, and the Lions are lit, I'm going to get everyone. I want us to revisit. So this is what my plan is. Now, if you decide that you want to take it in a different direction, we can do that. But my plan for our conversation this morning is to revisit what we began yesterday in talking about how do we create economic leadership for ourselves, empowerment for ourselves. I showed us the Bloomberg clip of Byron, their conversation about Byron Allen purchasing the Weather Channel for $300 million. And I just told you all that I'm just so tired of the narrative that's being presented. The narrative that, and I get it, like, and Brother Tyrone, I know you have the statistical data in which they create, that creates an image. And I'm just asking us, always consider the narrative and the purpose for the narrative. I even gave us the context of, I was at Bible study. And if you don't understand who the author is in any types of conversation, the author of legislation, the author of the book of the Bible, and to be able to put it in context and the time frame and what the goals were for that time and how to enforce their position, because that's all this is. It's the interpretation of a position. And I want us to realize how real that is. And so much so that a lot of the things that we say and what we believe, we don't even understand why we believe them. And if you take the time to say, you might not say that that's where you stand. That might not be where what your position is. And 8 Mile, and I love him to death, and I kind of did that yesterday with him when he said, he's colorblind, and I respect that. But I just wanted to know, where does that come from, especially for people of color? Why are we colorblind? So we're always taught certain things to appease the environment, to make it comfortable so that they don't harm us, so that we weren't lynched, so that we weren't killed, taken from our families, that our women weren't raped. But we were killed anyway. Our women were raped anyway. Our families were dissolved anyway. Our communities were burned down anyway. So I'm just asking, in the midst of all that understanding, it's one thing if you say, you know what, Collette, it's just because I feel that being in this state is what is harmonious to me and my spirit in the universe. My position is, as a collective for a group of people, that a melancholy spirit or a docile environment that hopes that they finally get it hasn't worked for us. And that's all I'm asking. So if indeed what we believe in the conversations that we have haven't presented the results that we want, why do we keep then feeling that way? Why do we keep then enacting those actions? Because the results are the same. They're not favorable to us. So why do we keep doing what we're doing and hoping that they get it? I'm asking. And so, for example, I was reading an article this morning about the Holocaust. And every year you will not miss the Holocaust. You will not miss a news segment, an article about how they'll list the names, they'll talk about the lineage, they'll talk about the atrocity. The article I saw this morning had a depiction of a man who was actually leading 192 children to the gas chamber. And when you think about that, that was enough. And is enough to fuel a group of people. Now, we can talk about the dynamics of what that means economically, the dynamics of America, who controls the wealth, and all that. And I get all of that, but it still doesn't negate a model. We talked yesterday about a model. If you see a model, so if a group of people says, you know what, this happened to me, and it's not going to happen again, and we're going to work together to create a different outcome for ourselves, and this is how we're going to do it together, then that should be a model for us. Because we have tons of models of how we can be successful collectively. But it's something about us that always wants to dissolve who we are into everyone else to make it comfortable. We always want to assimilate. We don't want to take pride in who we are, or at least the point of where we are, to understand who we are and why we do what we do, because we were trained. We were trained. Because, again, when you acknowledge those of us who only look at our history from these United States of America, it's only based on the books that they gave you in school. It's only based on the history that they taught you. It's based on the history that they taught your parents and which your parents regurgitate to you as you were growing up. And so we never question if any of that is real. We don't question if it's true. We don't question the author of the information and its impact on our lives. And so that is where we began the conversation yesterday, and that's where I want to continue it today. Callers, you all stay there. Don't go anywhere. I want us to see this clip. It's a 9-minute clip, an interview with Roland Martin and John Hope Bryant talking about the economics of our community. So let's take a look, and then we'll be right back.
A philanthropic investor, financial literacy expert, and the founder and CEO of Operation Hope, an organization that works to make the free enterprise system work for poor and working class communities. And he's also a best-selling author. His new book is called The Memo, 5 Rules for Your Economic Liberation. And welcome back to the show.
Hey, man. Nice to be here.
Good seeing you. We've talked about this beforehand, this notion of the memo. What is the basis for you when you say we have not gotten the memo?
We're brilliant. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we can almost do anything with nothing. Anytime the rules are published, the playing field is level. Sports, entertainment, the arts, we kill it. But after the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, 1865, created a bank called the Freedmen's Bank to teach freed slaves about money. He was killed the next month. Nobody knows about the bank. Frederick Douglass tried to run it, put $10,000 of his own money into the bank. People think he was an abolitionist only. He was a businessman, owned property in Baltimore, worth $5 million, this man. And when it failed, he said the failure of this bank did more to set freed slaves back in America than 10 more years of slavery. My point is, and he goes back, now you go to 1968 with Dr. King and Ambassador Andrew Young in Memphis, Poor People's Campaign. King gets killed on the balcony as he pivots toward poverty. So my point is this, it's not like we're dumb or we're stupid. It's what we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. We never got the memo. There's a memo on money. There's a memo on capitalism and free enterprise and ownership and wealth creation. Power, wealth, and aspiration are things no one teaches you. I wanted to deliver the memo, so we renamed the Freedmen's Bank. Secretary Jack Lew did, but at my request last year. It's across from the Treasury Department now. Your folks can Google search that right now and see we did that. But then we put Hope Inside locations on the ground.
They already know. We were there.
Yeah, yes, you were. So we're raising credit scores 120 points because nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points today.
Now, here's what's interesting when we talk about this idea of not getting the memo. So somebody will say, well, yeah, but that was Madam C.J. Walker and there was A.G. Gaston. There were different, yes, there were different individuals. What you're talking about is a collective. And not just a collective, but also a generational mindset that goes from one generation to the next.
It's also a problem that we got to go back 150 years to think about, whether it's Frederick Douglass or whether it's Gaston or Madam C.J. Walker, or we keep talking about this riot in a little place in Ohio. It's not like this has happened last week. Where's our Bill Gates? Where's our Steve Jobs? That's in the last 10 years, right? So the fact that we have these stories that are really anecdotes and not symptomatic in our whole community is the problem. Here let me drop the mic. The average credit score in America is 700. 15% of white people have a credit score below 620. That's basically Trump's voters. Those are rural, white, poor, distressed. They're dying faster than anybody else. 44% of black folks are brilliant people below 620. End of subject. You can't access the credit markets. You can't get a home loan. You can't be a small business owner. And then when you try, when the markets push the envelope, like in 2009, and give you a loan you shouldn't have, we default because we don't have the tools, the memo, to do for ourselves. So what gives me great sort of hope is that not like we got the memo and we screwed it up. We never got the memo. And we want to deliver it at scale. We will deliver it at scale.
And for the person, you know, at home who goes, okay, so I mean, I hear you, John, talking about 120 credit points, but that's real in terms of, because when you talk about the amount of money that we spend on interest, when it comes to cars, when it comes to houses, when it comes to the other things that we buy with credit, you know, that's additional money that can be invested, that can be saved, that is going back to a company because, again, of that credit score. You know, Equifax is going through all of their drama when it comes to data breach affecting 143 million Americans. And for so many of us, credit is the thing that scares us to death.
So now you're getting closer to the issue. I'm not talking about credit scores. I'm not even talking about capitalism, and I could give a flying hoop about credit scores. Financial literacy is somewhat boring, and I'm sort of the guy who got the federal government to make it the law. This is literally how the world works. So there's two things I want to say. One thing is that if you don't have inner capital, all the money in the world won't save you. So that's self-esteem and confidence. So after 350 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, ending in 1970, not 1870, it's where we've been told we weren't anything for 400 years. It's actually rational that 80% of us are clinically undiagnosed depressed. Now, if that's the case, and we didn't get the memo on money, we never learned about free enterprise and capitalism, we're depressed, distressed, unhopeful, and don't have the tools to compete. Now you have a 500 credit score neighborhood that has a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, and we don't even think there's anything wrong with it because it's a state of depression.
Because that's what we think is normal.
It's our norm. And Ambassador Young said to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. I think we're living in slavery, economic slavery, right now. So, and by the way, that's white rural America too. So I'm not picking on anybody. I'm saying this is, like 80% of Americans are in the invisible class. We're not seen by power and we don't see how we're going to get any. And that breeds resentment. And what I'm saying is there's a path forward. So one, this is about self-esteem and confidence before it's ever about money. It's about role models and environment. You hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. Who are we hanging around? Are we hanging around entrepreneurs? Are we hanging around philanthropists? Are we hanging around builders? Who are we hanging around? It's very important. And then what does that nurture? What are our priorities, right? So that's the first and probably the most powerful thing. And then that sort of defines how we spend our money, which is the point that you're making. But if I have low self-esteem, low confidence, crappy role models, a crappy environment, my aspirations in the toilet, I'm unhopeful, I'm probably going to spend my money in all the wrong places.
So somebody watching this, they're saying, I agree 100%. But I have no idea where to start.
Call me. My services are free. And that, I mean, we've opened 100 Hope Inside locations as of last week, the last one in Baltimore. And we're opening one every 2 weeks. Hope Inside of bank branches, including black banks. We're in the City National Bank of New Jersey, a black bank, in Whole Foods also in New Jersey. We work with Carver Bank and a lot of other black banks. We were founded the black bank at the South Central LA, Founders Bank in South Central. So we're in bank branches, grocery stores, big box retailers, houses of faith. We're in Atlanta Police Department because the police officers are filing for bankruptcy at twice the national average, making $48,000 with a gun and a badge and stressed out. That can't be good news for us. We're in Atlanta public schools because the teachers are stressed out. Most people are living from paycheck to paycheck and got too much month at the end of their money. Come to Operation Hope. Acknowledge that you have a problem. There's no shame in that game. Let us then, by the way, when you walk into a bank branch, Roland, they literally cannot tell you the truth by law and regulation. They're looking at your credit report. They know you're not going to be approved. Because of histories of redlining, which is real, now they're freaked out. So now they know you're 580. You applied for a mortgage. They can't tell you, please don't apply for this mortgage, for fear you're going to sue them. So they let you go through the entire process. Here's the magic. I'm now in their lobby. And my mission, because I don't work for them. My people don't work for them. They work for me. So you come over to me, we go, girl, your credit report is like a bus accident. Okay? We have a nice laugh. And I say, what's that? I don't know. Great, that's an error. Let me challenge that for you. When I challenge it, they must remove it. That pops your credit score 40 points. Now you go from 580 to 620. Now you're finally in the game. We get to 650 because now you have a charge-off. We're going to call the people who charged that off 10 years ago. I know that somebody bought that for 5 cents on the dollar. You know the way the game is played. It was a $1,000 bill for a phone bill. It's now 50 bucks. We offer the guy, he wants 100 bucks. We offer him 200 bucks. Because I want his cell phone number, his direct phone number. I want to make him look like a hero. So he writes a letter on behalf of my client to say she's paid as agreed. And when it shows back up on the credit report, I want to write another letter. That's how you play this new game. We get a credit score of another 30 points. Now she's 650. What happens to her self-esteem? What happens to her confidence? Her trust in the system? Her belief in herself? This is something actually you can measure. I can't measure racism, man. I can't get in somebody's heart and change the way they feel about me.
Hold tight. Well, first of all, again, the memo. Pull the book up, please. The memo. Pull the book up. The memo. 5 Rules for Your Economic Liberation by John Hope Bryant. Trust me, you want to get that book.
So everyone, be very clear that The Memo is going to be one of our books in our book club. Remember, we're about to launch our book club in April. But I'm making sure that we have the conversations because we're going to get the memo. Our memo. The conversations that we have, they serve as our memo. I love when John Hope Bryant said, guess what? I can't change racism. I can't worry about if they're going to accept me or how they're going to treat me. Bing, bing. We spend so much time in all our national organizations and all of our efforts and all of our energies of shaping the perception of how we are perceived by other people when it's not even a value of theirs. They don't care. That's not even an issue. Why are we focusing on that? We should be spending our energies on making us better. And what did he say? It's not even about, even if you had the memo, even if you had the motto, if you don't have an ideology that believes that you can, if you don't have a mindset, remember we talk about that on the show. Did any of those conversational points resonate with you? We talked about the Freedmen's Bank under Lincoln, and do you remember that? We talked about guess what? You can have all these dynamics against you, and if you let that mire you in your mindset, then you will consistently be a slave. We talked about that. Don't you remember? In all of our conversations, we say, guess what? I get it. I get unemployment's bad. And I get that they're not giving us jobs. And I get that the educational system is horrible. And I get that there's a prison pipeline initiative. I understand all of that. And so because we know all of that, and we know all the statistics, and we know what we know, then what do we do with what we know, everyone? So do you say, guess what? Okay, I understand all of that. But that's the nature of who we are as being people of color in America. I don't know. So all I'm saying is, what do we do? First step, what did he talk about? Credit scores. Credit. Those of you, let me tell you right now, and I'm about to go to the lines because we got this time and we're going to have this conversation. So many of us, and you all know, Big Mama, and we see it, and we see it, and we see it again. Big Mama has the credit. We'll use her credit to get the house. We'll use her credit to get the cars. We'll use their credit. But we don't piggyback credit. Did you hear what I said? We don't. So when Big Mama, bless her soul, has gone on, we're stuck because we haven't gotten the benefit of her credit. White folk, piggyback credit. So that means, guess what? If I have good credit, then I'm going to put you on a credit card with me. And so when I pay the note on time, then your credit boosts up. How's that? That's how it works. Piggybacking credit. So when I get credit, you get credit. You grow credit. But see, we don't talk about those things for us. We just, the one person that has the credit, we just use the person to death who has the credit, and then that's it. But when you also, guess what, everyone, in your families, if you have good credit, and I'm not saying just give your credit, if you don't have people who are responsible and you just believe they're going to abuse it, okay, I get that. I'm not saying not make sound, sane decisions. But if indeed in your family, especially when you have young people and you're preparing them and they're getting ready to go off to college especially, we should have been having those conversations. We had a conversation yesterday about how soon do you start teaching people, our children, about who they are, especially for themselves in the eyes of America as soon as they're born. That's when you start. And we start the same conversations about economic liberation as well. Why are we talking about credit? Why? Because we don't understand it ourselves. Why are we talking about banking? How to have a bank account, how to keep a checkbook, how to manage the debt that you create. But see, we don't. And so our children don't know. And then as soon as you get off to college, and as soon as they call you up and say, hey, here's a credit card for you, because I know you need to pay for your books, and I know you need to have spending money, and next thing you know, you get this credit card, and then you max that up to $2,000. Then you get another one, then you max that up, and before you know it, you're in $10,000 worth of debt, and you have no income. But we don't talk about those things to best prepare our children so that they don't have that challenge. Even so much so, talking about our children and preparing them. So we're not even in the positions of saying, okay, guess what? I'm going to create something so that I will give it to my children. That's what white folks do. When you looked at all these big houses, especially in our historic districts, where do you think that came from? Do you think that those houses would just had the mom and the dad in the house? No. It had the grandparents, the mom and the current generation, and their children. When they got married, they moved back home. They moved back in these homes so we could support each other. We could allow you to save your money while you're up under our roof. We could then have the elder parents be able to take care of the grandchildren, keep the familiar structure in line as we all go out to rule and win over this world. But we're the first to. As soon as we get of age, she kicked the kids out. And then when the kids get married, or if the kids have children, you don't ever want to bring them back into your home. And you don't create a space where they can have a home. The other folks, we talk about models. I can give you models all day. So the other folks, then what do? They're prepared. So when their children are getting married, this is a structure, and we're going to gift you a house to start you off. We're gifting you a house, or we're gifting you the money as a down payment on the home so that you can have a fair chance out here. Because that is our role. Not when you get of age, then that's just it. And then now you start taking care of us, and we don't sow anything into you. But that's what we do. It's just you're on your own. You're out there. You got to figure it out. Every man for himself. And then, I expect you to come back and start taking care of me. Come on, you guys. We got models. We have real situations. We have to do better. I'm going to get to the lines, okay? So I know you guys have kind of heard. I'll stop. And I'll go to you. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Yes, good morning. Let me cut my speaker down.
Please, so that we can hear you.
I'm more clear now.
Absolutely, you are.
Okay, we've got two thoughts being traveling in the black community.
Sure.
From the 20s, Carter G. Woodson, he wrote about the Black Negro History Week.
Yes.
And he started off at that time talking about the contribution and the achievement of individuals.
Sure.
But then in the 50s, Martin Luther King came about, and he said that we have been oppressed as a group, and we must overcome the oppression as a group.
Okay.
He was very clear. Woodson came during the period with just coming out of slavery, and he had to try to say, hey, y'all, white folks, we helping, we contributing to do us right. But when you look back at history,
okay,
the two thoughts,
sure,
the I and me thought, how you can make it,
sure,
but not how we can make it. Now here, take coming out of slavery, you had sharecropping. On your clip, the guy called it Jim Crow. Economically, it was sharecropping.
Yes.
You came out of direct slavery, went into semi-slavery, sharecropping.
Yes.
And what we was under the black codes.
Okay.
The guy on the clip called it Jim Crow.
Okay.
We had laws for all blacks.
Sure.
We had laws that was restricted.
Sure.
But in that period, Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion, he came forward because the whites seen that they could make some money, and they got everybody agreed. Let this black, and it was testing, can blacks whoop a white man? And he whooped the white man, and he became popular, and he was successful as a boxer.
Sure.
Same thing. During the 20s, you had the guy who made the peanut, who did the peanut, and you still had sharecropping.
Yes.
You had Joe Louis came about at the end of sharecropping. They could make money. Jackie Robinson.
Sure.
But at the same time, you had those laws by the government that oppressed the majority of the people.
Yes.
And when you look at history and coming on up to the day, they had the laws we went through. They had suburbanites after we went to the sharecropping, and after the mechanical cotton picker, we was drove to the cities trying to get jobs as a people.
Sure.
When we came to the city, then they decided they were going to put everything in the suburbs and not going to let us go with them.
Sure.
And we had to suffer from that policy.
Sure.
But in the meantime, they decided, we're in trouble. The suburbs can't pay for the infrastructure. We got to come back to the cities and put the blacks out and put them in enclave. But at the same time, guess what? there arose, there became a black president.
Sure.
His name was Obama. But it did nothing to the masses of blacks
Okay.
because the policy was to put us out of the city, called ethnic cleansing, and you look at the population decline in all major cities.
Yeah.
So it's not a theory; it's a fact.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
fine.
see the policy because all major cities, blacks are being put out.
Sure.
And they're going to little bitty areas
Yes.
like
Yes.
Ferguson. So
Yes.
I said all that to say this.
Yes, please.
We hear the guy talking about we, but he wasn't talking about we. He was going back to old Carter Woodson, G. Woodson, talking about the individual. Say, for instance, about business. We did not, as a people, blacks came out and took part in the abstract industry. It's the mining,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
So we only had Wall Street. Black
Sure.
Wall Street was a retailer. Black Wall Street did not take care of the masses of blacks. The
Okay,
masses
so
of
look,
blacks,
Brother Tyrone. So look, okay, so let me just
Now I
stop.
can
Let
hear
me
you. I
stop
couldn't
this.
hear you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's stop this. No. And you're right. You are absolutely correct in you giving us their
Now, tell me
hold
where I
on.
was correct.
Their
Tell me where I was
history.
correct there so I understand to be on the same page.
Yes, absolutely. You are an expert at giving us their his story. His story. His story. Absolutely. And so all I'm asking us is that do we keep talking about what his story has been for us? Or do we say, I got it, I get it, that is what it is. Now, what do I have to do different to have an outcome? Are we caught up in the we or the I? Is that an issue of semantics? I mean, so
Now
when
we're
they
on the
say
same
we,
page.
is that supposed to be I? Or do you say, when they say we, do you know that they mean I? Like, I mean, I know we're not caught up in that.
Yes,
That's
we
not,
are.
Why are we caught up in that?
Because when you talk about a business, look at black business historically. When I talk about history, I never talked about history. I'm talking about a process, and I brought it all the way from sharecropping to Obama in Washington.
And that's great. And so okay, and based off that, then what?
Look at black business.
Yeah, look at it. I own 2 businesses. Yes, look at it, Brother Tyrone. What about it?
Black business was in Tulsa, in the North End. Blacks was forced to have little business.
Yes.
But they was primarily retail. But
Okay.
the other blacks went to the South Side where the whites and went to working and got a paycheck and came back and supported the black business.
Yes.
The black business never was the main employer to help the black masses, and it's not today.
And
it
guess
has
what?
never been.
And that is okay. Like, I don't think we're having a problem with that. Like, who
Yes, we
who
do.
has a problem with that? I don't think that
guy
there's
was
a problem
talking
with that.
about getting money, open up business as it was a group effort. It's not a group effort, and it has never been, and it would never be a liberation tool.
No, he's talking about understanding economics as a liberation tool. So that if you, so for example, if we start having a conversation about how, just what I said before, about understanding credit, understanding how to maneuver and create a viable credit score in this economy, then you will know better, your children will know better, then your children will teach their children, and it becomes a generational effect. And then based off of that, you can make different decisions as it pertains to how you impact your group. So then, for example, maybe we'll have some of the churches where instead of you then taking all your monies and going to a Comerica or going to a Chase, you can then buy into John Hope Bryan's concept of a banking system or creating your own credit union where you're pulling in your monies from your congregants and then creating business opportunities outside of that. Again, we have the models. We're afraid to do it. I shared with you all before. I had a conversation.
Here's what I see wrong with that. When
What's
we
wrong
talk
with that?
about our conditions, if we use abstractions, and that abstraction is not based on the current condition, then your extraction can go anywhere. It can
So
go
then
to the
that
moon.
means, so Brother Tyrone, and then I'm going to get to all the rest of the callers. So then that means that we do nothing then, right? So then
No,
that
you know
means that
what?
we
You know
just
what? We
sit
gotta
here.
look at our
Hold on,
conditions.
hold on. So we keep talking about the conditions that they create for us, and then we just sit here and we just keep talking about it. And so while we keep, I mean, what did he just say in the clip? That's our biggest problem, is that we don't believe that we can. We don't think outside of the box. We don't sit and actively make the sacrifice to do things differently. So all the people that are successful, all the black folks that do have wealth, what did they do? They didn't. So if they started off working in corporate and then transitioned, oh
Listen
well.
to your formulation. You always say you, and you use you with
But you're
we
no. I think that you're being disingenuous.
I'm disagreeing with you. Here why you use you and we interchangeable, because you are using thinking out of the box, out of not from our condition. You're using abstract thinking.
No, I use practical. No, hold on, Brother Tyrone. I use practical application in my life.
Well, practical application got to start with the conditions.
Well, no, let me just tell you. Hold on. No, and you all about to hear this story yet again. It doesn't start off with the condition if I don't believe that to be true. I keep trying to tell y'all the situation with my dad. I'm going to say it again. He was hurt as a Detroit police officer. Y'all listen to me real good. He was hurt as a police officer when I was 2. It took me till 2009 to go to the city. I didn't have an attorney. I didn't have a pool of attorneys. I did the work because I knew that there was an injustice to him. There is no reason why him being hurt as an employee, as a police officer, should have only been receiving workers' compensation for 32 years. Workers' compensation and understanding the rules, the law. Hold on, no. You're going to listen to this on today. Understanding the rules and the law, his workers' compensation should have rolled over into duty disability. If I would have listened to everything that they told me over a 5-year period, to this day, my dad still would not have been made duty disabled if I would have listened to them. There were people who told me, some records for the city said that he wasn't a police officer. Some records from the city said that he was just a civilian. Everyone's giving me the runaround. So you're suggesting to me that if I just solely focused on what they said and didn't realize that I had to do more to fight for my position, then it wouldn't have changed what happened. So then 32 years later, I got them to make him duty disabled retroactive back to when he got hurt in 71. But what you're suggesting is, based on the conditions and what they say it is and what they do and what it is, that we just can't do anything else from it. We, I, me, us. I'm not getting caught up in that. If I would have believed that to be my reality, it would not have changed. And so I'm saying to us, we have to stop this. We have to stop this. When I say we, if it's I mean we. I share with you because it is you. You are me. I'm not getting caught up in we and I. I'm not getting caught up in what they say it is. I know the facts of these Americas. But excuse the expression, I'll be damned if I'm going to let it then have an impact on what is going on as it pertains to my life and those that I love, and now with you. I share those things with you to let you know that whatever it is, I'm a resource because you can change your scenario. But that we've been brainwashed. We've been trained. That's all we do. We're so good at giving back what they've given us. It's his story. Do you understand? That's what history is. His story, not our story. You're not going to sit. There is no way you will ever make me believe that that is the issue. That when I say I, that it's a problem because you don't relate to it as we. That's because you don't want to. You don't want to. You're getting caught up in something and you keep staying caught and mired in that, and it will never change your situation. It will never. I tell everyone, I always respect, Brother Tyrone, the information that you bring. That's great. And that can be fact as he says it. But then what do we do with it? And if you allow that mindset, you will never accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. And maybe that's the difference in those that do and those that don't, those that have and those that won't. Because we won't have, as John Hope Bryant said, the belief in ourselves, the mindset and the faith that no matter what is in front of me, it means nothing to me. There is nothing that is insurmountable. I can do all things. That is what I believe. And so we got that success. And so again, that's the example I'm going to give you every day, all day. I don't believe that a system can't be changed. I don't believe that I'm just going to sit back and let you say whatever you want to say and I'm going to buy into it because I think. How's that? And I understand what the motivation is. And I understand who I'm talking to. And I'm understanding, that's why I share with us, you don't ever walk into a room and not understand who the players are. You don't ever go into a situation and not have the information that you need so that you can be able to massage the direction of the conversation so that it benefits you. And if you don't care enough to do that, if you don't care enough to study, if you don't care enough to be aware, then shame on you, and you will consistently get the outcomes that you get. The woe is me, poor me, my, us, we, ours, slave mentality. And we will be forever in hostage to these Americas to be the slave labor. Now, how's that for my rant? Let me go to the next caller. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
How you doing today?
I am amazing. Thank you.
Well, first thing I give a shout out to TV 33.
Yes, shout out to everyone.
91.
Sure.
WHPR, Detroit.
Yes.
Henry Tyler, please get well.
Yes.
You got to also give a shout out to R.J. Watkins, Mr. Billy Jones, Miss Collette Ramsey,
Yes.
Miss Money Making Diva, Hair Doctor, Miss Perryman, and some of the other TV show hosts at TV 33 like Reverend Holly and Mr. Ruth Sabat. Thank you, dear, for showing that clip today, because the clip that you showed today, you showed to individuals that really did not understand the reason why you showed. Now, let me say that again. Thank you for showing that clip today, because many people that watch your show really don't understand the reason why you showed that clip.
Okay.
Now, me and you've had conversations about this concept of colorblind.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Year ago, you really didn't understand it from my perspective. Now, you are, because you see yourself getting there. See,
No,
the thing is,
stop, no, stay right there, no, I understood it from your perspective, and I don't see myself, getting there. But please, continue your thought.
okay, no, but the point is, at least you understand what that mindset is for somebody who look like me in this country. That's the percent I'm saying. Meaning, we here in this country, people that look like me and you, we've never, ever came up with the terms to describe ourselves legally. We have spent time legally changing terms to make us appease us. Okay. So let's go back to that clip you showed earlier today. You had a gentleman that looked like me that was trying to enhance people to look like me to become more aggressive, more successful in the credit financial community of the United States. Since there was a history that people that look like me never was supposed to be a part of it, never supposed to live off it, never was supposed to have their grandkids live off of it.
Yes.
Okay? That's the purpose of why you showed the clip. Okay? Meaning, not black money, but money for people who happen to be black. Because money only has the color of the person that holds it. Meaning, if you got a credit card, you have a debit card, whoever's holding it, that's the color of the money. Okay? That's how come there's a thing in the concept in this country called old money. And when anybody talk about old money, you never envision that anybody look like me or look like you. And you today were actually trying to inspire people where they can be that way, not just for themselves, not just for their kids, but for their grandkids, because we live in a democracy. Democracy is about free choice associated with money. So this is, thank you for that. Now, when you have people that have limited mindset of themselves, that's why they're going to call into your show and argue with you about what you're doing to enhance everybody, not just yourself, not just people that look like you, but anybody that takes the time to entertain what you say. Because there's one thought that doesn't cross the average person to watch your show.
Sure.
There's more than the people who look like me and you out of our community that's watching this show. You know why? Because there's people outside this community that make money off of us. So when you realize how me and you act and interact in our community and you notice their spending habits, okay? Just because we don't make adjustments to the spending habits, other people are. Remember the conversation I had here in the city of Detroit, there's not one church's chicken that's owned by a person that looks like me. You go there Tuesday night, it's a carload out there. The people that work at that church's chicken don't even eat the food. Don't even congregate around the people. Not going to spend their money on any of the bills of the people who sit up there in that restaurant.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about church chicken, just one entity. So I go back again. Thank you for trying to re-educate the people in this community positively. Okay? Because they limit themselves as when they say the word black. You know you're more than black.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay? Meaning you are a woman who happens to be black. You're not just a black woman. So in this country, when you say black, when you use that word that we describe ourselves as nouns, they use that word as an adjective.
Okay.
I'm a being. I'm more than just a color. Okay? So when you're talking finances, the only color really matters is whose hand the money is in.
The only color that matters in finance is green. Green. That's the color of money. That's the only color. And I mean, I appreciate your comment, and I really want us to get it. Like, at the end of the day, and maybe it's I, again, don't get caught up if in the we or I. I believe that you have a mindset that if I say I'm referring to we. If I want the best for you, if I say you should know that I'm speaking about we. It's not just what benefits me. And so maybe that goes back to how you think. Because when I say if I give you an example for me, it's us. Like, you should know that. That's like me telling you that I love you. So if I love you, and then you go out to this world and you have and you interact with people differently, then you bring that energy back into the house with me, and then you start acting crazy like that. And I'm like, why are you don't treat me like you treat the people out in the streets. You should have a different mindset when you come into this household, because you know that I love you. So you should turn that off. However you think about that out there, when you get in here, because I'm never going to tell you something that's not going to benefit you out of love, because I love you. So when I say that for us, that is what that means. So yes, we can have that mindset with them, because that's a society. His story was never built out of love for us. Not for us to advance, not for us to grow, not for us to thrive. And there's nothing wrong with however we had the mom and pop shops that kept our communities going. Why are we having that conversation? I don't understand. Because there was several businesses that employed. There were funeral homes, we had banks, we had grocery stores, we had cleaners that were the sole employment of a lot of individuals in our community. Like, why do we fight that? And guess what? Even if they still had jobs and they still did that, what's the problem with that? They owned it. Like, why are we poo-pooing? We poo-poo on us more than anybody poo-poos on us. I don't care if you work 3 jobs for the man and then you come and you own and work your own business and you're trying to give an example and give back. I don't care about that. Is that the conversation we should be having? Or how do we, again, create something different for us? Because these are the conversations for us. And how do we do that? Today, economic liberation. Please.
I have a quick solution.
Sure.
One of the quick solutions is this. Right now, here in the city of Detroit, on the east side, and this was a few years ago, J.D. Hill used to talk about this. There was a gentleman on the east side. It was a Friday or Saturday. People used to come together and listen to jazz outside in the city.
Okay.
It just started at a few points, and then it became an event. So an event that people sold food. There was even when there was a memory that happened over multiple years, there was able people to sell merchandise and vendors and souvenirs. Now, there's a place called Wyoming and 7 Mile.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a recreation center that used to be part of Detroit Public, City of Detroit, that's now managed to another entity.
Okay.
But there's still a field up there near 7 Mile and what's it called? Now, envision this.
Okay.
Me and you say, okay, you know what? One of the things that we have to do is bring back the love of the community, regardless of what you are. So kids and parents should draw pictures of each other.
Okay.
Where that means the little kid draw a picture of their parent. That means the parent draw a picture of their kid. Okay, now, that's art.
Okay.
Be it on paper, be it a sculpture, be it make a creation out of an image or out of a memory.
Yes.
Okay, now, that's a parent and a child making something together, creation,
Okay.
art. Okay, now, let's all of us come up to the field and let's call it Arts, Eats, and Beats.
Okay.
Okay, come between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Everybody can just come there during the day.
Okay.
Okay, that's a chance for people to sell artworks among other people.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
Nobody's ever thought about combining a family like that for a profit, or just the near function that a kid drawing their parent drawing their kid. This is the mad love that you've been trying to get us to understand since you've been on your show, that you are more than what they say. So if you take time to bond with your child in public,
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
There's no time for no guns. There's no time for no arguments. That's the level of tourism. Because you best believe that if kids and parents start drawing each other,
Okay.
now that's the talent that people say that's in our hood. You don't think the people outside the city of Detroit going to want to buy that?
Yeah, well, let me just
I
say.
just want to put that out there.
And I agree, and that's an example. It's no different that if you're traveling and you go to Miami and you're in Little Havana, you see the same thing. They do it with chess. So you roll into the community, you have this big park, and everyone sits down, and they have artwork, and they're playing chess, and they have food. It is the cohesion that you need and a connection with community. And for whatever reason, we fail at that. And I'm going to go back to what John Hope Bryant said. It's not about all of the policies and any of that. We can get to all of that. The issue is how we see ourselves. And the issue is how we interact with each other based on how we see ourselves. We can be successful. That is not a problem if we believe that we're successful. We don't believe that we can do it. And those of us who are, we poo-poo on their levels of success, how big their businesses are. We want to hold them to all these other levels of accountability that you never hold any other person that doesn't look like you to. We sit and everybody poo-pooed President Obama. Well, first of all, President Obama was the president of these United States. So everyone thought, oh, just because you're a black man in your office, now you're going to do all this stuff to help black people. No. And then you get mad at him, but you never got mad at all the other presidents prior to him that never looked like you and held them accountable for anything. Let me just say that. But now everyone wants to jump on him. So do you even understand where your mindsets come from? Do you understand any of that? All I'm asking us is, if we look and identify what the truths are, then we have to start questioning who we are and why we do what we do. That's all I'm saying. What we're going to do is we're at the top of the hour. We're going to take a little break. You guys don't go anywhere. I know all the lines are lit. We're going to continue the conversations. And then I'm going to infuse a couple of things. I'm going to infuse some local politics into the conversation. We're going to talk about Snyder. He talks about Michigan must change the narrative for its future. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to include that the judge rejects the proposed early vote on Conyers' seat. And then we have another elected official that is into some bribery. We'll be right back.